Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dave Roberts. I'm the Capital Projects Manager at Woodland Pond, and I'm giving you your weekly update on our progress with the expansion here at Woodland Pond. Of course, we missed last week because of Thanksgiving, but I hope you all had a great Thanksgiving. And I know I spent a couple of days with family and friends in the kitchen doing lots of cooking, and then, of course, eating it. It was great. My favorite holiday, Thanksgiving. So we've had, it's always busy. Two primary areas of importance over the last couple of weeks. We continue to develop the health centre design with some sort of more information and complications that I'll let you know about. And then we're also continuing to review the estimate for the community building at this schematic design stage as we gear up and get ready for construction next year. With the health centre design, I mean, it's sort of part of the design process that often when you start, you don't have a complete understanding of what your needs are. And I think that's true of the health centre. As we've gone more and more into this process, we sort of add scope as a response to understanding what would better improve the residents' amenities and enjoyment of life, in the health centre. So that's what's happened is that we add scope, it gets a little bigger, and then part of this process was you might remember we were going to add an extension on the second floor over the existing first floor, called a structural overbuild because you're building over what's already there. And as we've gotten into this, last week we had a sort of a meeting with our structural engineer, and we always knew that it was going to be expensive and complicated, but it's more expensive and more complicated than we originally thought. And that's because of the way that the panels are constructed. What we're doing to sort of find out more is we're trying to get the shop drawings from the original construction almost 20 years ago. What that means is that through the building process, often with aspects of the design, the architects will do construction documents, but those documents aren't always the ones that certain trades use to actually do the construction. For example, with millwork, the mill worker will then use the architectural documents to do what are called shop drawings. They're the actual drawings that go to the shop that the workers use to do that construction. It's the same with structural components. So what we're trying to do is get the shop drawings for the structural pieces to know exactly how they're constructed so that we can understand their capability in terms of load bearing and strength. What we're doing at the moment with the health centre with this information is we're trying to see, we're stepping back for a moment and saying, maybe there's another way of doing this that's more effective and efficient, with the result of having less overbuild over the existing, because that's becoming quite, it's complicated, but it's also disruptive because it means that what we're building over can't function at that time. So it means moving people or functions from one area to another. So that's kind of what we're doing at the moment. It's a sort of part of the design process, as I say, as we learn more about what our needs are and how to best resolve those needs. The other thing we've been doing is reviewing the estimate for the community building. And at the moment, we have a document of, like 40, 50 pages. And that document lists, the cost per area for each area and breaks it down into trades. So we had a very lengthy meeting where we go through that document together. So the architects are there, the engineers, mechanical, and of course us, And we're sitting there and making sure that all our eyes are on this document to make sure that the scope is correct and that all the all the things that the construction managers are putting into that costing is accurate, both in terms of quality and also specifications. One of the advantages of working with a construction manager is that, they're part of this process early on. Often what happens in this situation is that you go through an entire design process, you do construction documents, and then you go to bid. And it's at that point you realize you understand fully, where you are with costing. With our process, what we're doing is we have the construction managers part of the process all the way through, so that they're having their eyes on the cost all the way through. This costing document also informs our designers at this point, because what they've done is use placeholders or estimated costs for certain specifications. An example is lighting. They'll say, okay, we need 200 of this kind of light, and we're going to apply a certain amount of money per fixture. Now, what this allows us to do, or our designers to do, is that they're working to budget. So they're able to say, oh, we need to select a fixture, or we need to select tile or carpet and hit this price point. Otherwise, we're going to go over. And it doesn't mean that it excludes a more expensive thing if they think it's better. If they think that there's a product out there that's going to serve us better over the next 15, 20 years, then they can have a conversation and say, hey, look, this tile or, this carpet is 15% more, but we think it's worth paying that. Or conversely, they'll say, okay, we're going to stay under budget for these fixtures. So it's making everyone have more information with the decisions that they're making. And that, I think that's really good. And we have a great team with a lot of experience to be able to, keep their eyes on cost as well as the quality of the construction that we're doing. One of the other things that's coming up this next week is what's called a page turn. And our architects have put together a whole set of documents, which is where the pricing is coming from. And the page turn is literally that. I mean, except that instead of, in the old days, you used to sit around a table and actually go through every page. We will go through every page, but of course it's an online meeting. And it means that every page, all of us will go through together, designers, engineers, client, and make sure that the drawings reflect our understanding of what we want. And that's not just, room design and so on. It's also looking at finishes once again. Oh, should we have this much tile in this room, or do we want another surface? Just to make sure that everyone understands what we're getting. Because at the end of the day, we end up signing a contract with the construction manager saying, we want you to build this for this much money in this amount of time and for this, for the cost. So that's why it's really important at this point to go through and make sure that we're really happy, essentially. And that's what a page turn is. It's a long meeting. We're going to break it into 2 sessions. It'd probably be at least 4 hours of going through the documentation all together. So that's one thing that we're looking ahead in the next week to do, and of course that's a meeting with everyone in. Each week we have a design meeting where I think there's I've lost count of how many people now. I think there's over 20 people in that meeting, because it's just the opportunity where from civil engineer through to kitchen consultant, everyone knows all the aspects of the design of what's going on. So the page turn is similar in that there's a lot of people involved to make sure that the scope and the costing is correct. Also looking ahead, we'll be organising a focus group with the community gardeners to review the landscape architect's plans. And so if you're on that committee, look out for that. And once again, our planning board process continues. The next meeting is on the 17th of December. It's our second meeting, and we will be expecting a lot more questions in that meeting because the village consultants will have had their time to review. I expect that they will have made comments for the planning board to review. And so, the planning board will have more questions with a little more knowledge at that meeting. Also at that meeting, they will set the date for the public hearing. And then they'll also be discussing things like the referral to the Ulster County planning and also the lead agency status will follow that actually. That's the lead agency. It will be most likely the planning board who will follow the secret process through that I discussed in the last meeting. So, things are rolling forward pretty well, where that second meeting is going to be really interesting in terms of, how many questions they have. Many of you might have seen that the Hudson Valley Magazine had a article online that they posted about the first meeting. And it's kind of interesting. I expected in social media and on Facebook and so on to see a lot of responses to that, but we haven't really seen that yet. But, pretty straightforward process so far. All right, well, that's all I've got for you today. There'll be plenty more next week. I hope you have a great weekend, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.